Hello and welcome everybody to, I was about to say the show, but of course it's not Heresy Hammer, is it? I'm used to kind of like recording for Heresy Hammer, recording this way. But in fact, this has nothing to do with Heresy Hammer. It is in fact myself, Rob from Meadows Miniatures, and Baz from Amphiarus. And you will know us, I'm sure, from our social media, our tutorials, our classes, and things like that. And if you have found your way to this video, the likenesses that you are Antipodean and you are living in Australia and you are interested in joining myself and Baz for some Australian courses, because we are coming in 2025 to Australia. And what this video is going to do is going to take you guys through what the courses are going to entail, some of the kind of like the finer details, probably answer some of the questions that you guys have. And if there are any other questions that you have, you can either email us or put them in the comments below or get in contact through Instagram if you want to. So, yeah, so Baz, you must be pretty excited about these courses. This has been a long time coming. This has been in the planning for kind of like months, hasn't it? But
Yeah, yeah.
we finally got around to kind of getting all the information out there. We've got the venues lined up and stuff. But you're excited about it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is, I'm sure, same for yourself, Rob, to be honest, is like when we started this hobby, this was never something we'd expect to happen.
Oh, man. Yeah,
And
agreed.
the idea of going and visiting a beautiful country that is
Yeah.
Australia and also meeting up with people that no doubt yourself as well had talked to for years about this kind of like wonderful hobby we share. So, yeah, the idea of going out is just it's a bit mind blowing actually, to
It's
be honest.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. In fact, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought I'd be going out and doing Australia courses, but I've in fact actually only last week come back from Finland, having done a Kratos course out there. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through slide by slide some of the key information, the dates as well, the costs, and some of the like the finer details, and even we'll talk about some of the kit lists and things like that. Of course, this is still just under a year away, so this is 11 months away. But we want to give you guys plenty of time, plenty of notice, but also so you can prepare your kit and things like that. And also, I'm sure there's going to be lots of communication backwards and forwards, and I think that obviously this is a big trip for me and Baz. It's literally on the other side of the world, so kind of planning so far in advance is really, yeah, really, really important, but also really important for you guys, because you just got real life. So you, especially with the Heresy Camp, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that's going to be a big chunk of your guys' time, and you're going to need to plan that. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. Anyway, so the first course that we've got in Australia, so we'll be visiting Sydney and Melbourne, and we'll be over in Australia for 3 weeks, kind of holidaying as well as doing cool stuff. But the first course we've got is Sculpting for Heresy with Baz. Now, the dates for those are the 26th and the 27th of July, 2025. Now, we have called this Sculpting for Heresy. This is not exclusively, just Horus Heresy stuff, but the theme of it is Horus Heresy and stuff that will be useful for Horus Heresy. We'll kind of go through kind of the inner workings of what the course is in a bit. And that's going to be held at the Combat Company in Sydney. And the ticket price for that is 450 Australian dollars. After that, we've got the Kratos course, which is with me. You've probably seen this one before. It's a super popular course. Tickets keep on selling out. I keep on thinking, oh, I'll do something different. And then I'm like, why should I do anything different? Like, this is a fun course. You will learn an awful lot. It's an intensive course. So I'm bringing it to the other side of the world. And this one's going to be held the week following Baz's course. So we've got a nice 5 day off. And it will be a weekend course. In terms of timings and things like that, we'll kind of email you timings once we've clarified all that. But basically, it will probably be a 9 or 10 o'clock start on both of those courses. It's held at the same venue, the Combat Company in Sydney, and the ticket price is 450 Australian dollars as well. And then we got the big one. So a week, well, not even a week later, a few days later, we are heading to Melbourne. We will fly to Melbourne, and we are going to be hosting the Heresy Camp. So this is a 5 day course, and basically this is all the courses what mine and Baz are bringing to Australia: the Sculpting for Heresy course and the Kratos course in one course combined. However, because that will be quite an intensive set of days, what we're going to do is put in the middle a day of gaming in the middle, so you can organize gaming with friends. But we'll also try and put on a few seminars as well, like small Q&A sessions and things like that, just to give you guys a bit of a mind break, but also make the day valuable. If you've got any ideas for that as well, what you want to have a look at, it might be, oh, well, I don't really want to do anything with tanks, but it'd be useful if we painted some faces or stuff like that. I can walk you through that. And if there's any ideas for Baz, perhaps like sculpting a base, for example, like an actual base for a model, he might be able to go through that. So these are kind of like nuggets of information, as well as a bit of gaming while we're out there in the middle, and then we'll get back to cracking on with the course on the Saturday and Sunday. So that's the overlay. That's the kind of like just the courses in general. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to go through a little bit more information about how those courses will function. So I'm hoping if I click this, it's sometimes a little bit slow because I'm recording as well. So Sculpting for Heresy. So Baz, this is a course that you've run in the UK. You've done it for Heresy Hammer, and in fact, we've got a sold out course coming in January for this exact course. But you're essentially bringing it to Australasia. Do you want to talk us through kind of what we can expect from this course and what we're going to be doing over the course of the 2 days? And in fact, before I do anything, I'll kind of show you that as a kind of a bit of a guide of what we're going to be doing. So talk us through how this course will run.
Yeah, so really, realistically, what we start off is, excuse me, is with the fundamentals of sculpting, and we'll start like generally by doing additional armor plates, and that's realistically to kind of get you used to the materials that you'll use, the milliput, the green stuff, and obviously the tools that that I'll bring with me, and obviously as we've talked about, this part of the kit list. So we start off with armor over the day, and that's a very useful. In conjunction with other pieces. So we'll also do the soft armor joints. Now, once you start doing the soft armor joints, this basically opens up all possibilities for reposing your Marines between the armor and the soft armor joints. After that, and once you become a little bit more confident, then I'm going to start obviously to test you a little bit more. And the idea is we'll go on to the tirage. That's basically for additional decoration. I've seen yourself use it, Rob, for some of your work. It adds, that little bit more character. And the idea is you'll be able to come away from this course and build yourself very individual models with, nice, simple steps. Yeah. The idea is to unlock the possibility to make your own characters and, essentially like what I do. So, and then finally, for more customization, that little bit more, I'm going to go through hair and beards. And that is, again, just really more refined work, and it will really test your skills. But by that point, I promise you that, most people, I'm sure you've had it with the Kratos course, they surprise themselves with what they can actually do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
that for you and I, as we're teaching, is, I'll be honest with you, and it's genuinely the biggest reward for me, is watching somebody actually realize it's not voodoo, it's not magic. Yeah, so it's 100%. But that's basically all encompassing. It sounds like 4 simple steps, but we'll go through that over the weekend. And I've said it many a time on our course is, time isn't your enemy, it's your friend. You've got plenty of time over these weekends to really work on it, and I have a minimum of 2 miniatures for each person to work on. So those people that maybe are learning a little bit faster, they've got plenty to do, and those people that maybe just taking a little bit longer, we can go over those steps again. There's really no kind of like rush for the weekend, and let's be honest, mate, we're not going anywhere. So
no, exactly. So just a couple of things to pull out there. So if I am somebody who's completely new to sculpting, would this be a good course for me, this one, or do I need to have some knowledge of sculpting and be able to win golden demons with my sculpting already, or kind of like, or is it for everybody, this course?
It is quite literally, and I've designed this course to be for absolutely everybody. So and again, we've talked about it, this is aimed at like a heresy audience, but realistically, everything we do is utterly transferable to any system. So the armor is quite literally armor or anywhere, in any gaming system. And the same for all the things that we're going to do, it's very transferable. So brand new, like I would say, even if you're like a semi-veteran of sculpting, there's things we'll go over. And as you touched on before, we've got that 1 day in between, especially in the Heresy Camp, where you and I will pretty much be open for the day whilst people are gaming. And if there's a project or there's a specific thing, we can absolutely go over that.
Yeah, that, and I think that's going to be actually massively useful. So, in terms of the miniatures, so you will prep miniatures and bring them over. Nobody needs to
Yep.
prep any miniatures. You're gonna prep the miniatures. There's a very small kit list for this course, but you will prep them. And I think it's interesting to say, because I always think this when I think about your courses, is that green stuff work, I think, is a bit of a dying art because of 3D printing. Like, I use
Yeah.
3D printing all the time, but the fact of the matter is, there are some things that 3D printing just cannot sort out, and particularly around like soft armor,
Yeah.
reposing.
Mm.
Like, if you want the original like Forge World resin leg or the plastic leg, because it's sculpted really nicely, but you just want it on a rock, for example, that's going to require a completely set of different skills than just like printing Go on your printer, for example. So I think that these skills, since I did my course with Baz, I pretty much use them like, if not every day, then every other day, like reposing things with a little bit of green stuff work, understanding Milliput and how it works, etc. So this is a massively valuable course. And then, as Baz says, this is specifically the Sydney course, but we will be doing this on the Heresy Camp as well. And as Baz says, you got a little bit of flexibility on the Heresy Camp in that day to ask him and probe him with lots and lots of questions. Cool. So that's the Sculpting for Heresy. So just a few other bits and pieces. So in terms of the kit list is fairly minimal. So you need to bring some standard milliput, which should be absolutely fine. And then Baz will provide the green stuff. He's swimming in green stuff, so that's absolutely fine. You guys will need to bring a hobby lamp, ideally an extension lead as well. The longer, the better in terms of the extension lead, just because of where the venue is and plug sockets and things like that. So just make sure you bring super long extension leads, not like a 1 meter one. We're talking like 5 to 10 meters would be massively useful. And then we've got the Color Shaper firm grade tip set wallet of 5. Now, I did have a bit of a search online in Australia this morning just to make sure you could get hold. They didn't seem to be too much of an issue to get hold of these. However, if these are tricky to get hold of, what we can do is purchase them on your behalf here in the UK, and then we can bring them over for you. So if you are struggling to find them, don't worry. Like, we can organize all of that, and then you just pay us, and then we'll just purchase them on your behalf and then bring them over when the time comes. Or we can always forward them over if you're really, really keen to get hold of them early on. But those color shapers, again, I bought a pack 2 years ago, and they're still great, right? They're just going to last me for
Yeah.
as long as I take care of them. They're just going to last me.
I've got my original set that I bought like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's no wear and tear. And one thing I want to add, Rob, that I haven't said to you
Yeah,
is
yeah, no, please.
I have my kind of my usual sculpting tool. Sorry, you can't really see it here, but I've got my usual sculpting tool. And normally, basically, when I do a class, I have a loaner and then I have a link where you can purchase them. But for the Australia courses, I will be bringing everybody a tool each that they'll keep.
Oh wow! Oh, that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, lucky old Australia. That is actually, like, if you're from someone from the UK, that's actually massively useful to just have. So that's actually great. I didn't realize that. So that's great. Cool. I have to buy myself a ticket to get one of those tools. Right. So just a couple of bits and pieces as well. So we tried this out at the Heresy Hammer course, the Sculpting for Heresy. So exactly the same. And what we'll bring over with us is these kind of almost like cheat sheets. And we found them massively useful as a teaching aid and a teaching tool, but also they were massively useful for kind of like follow along steps for the attendees as well. Now, what we'll do is, once the course is all done and dusted, we will send these guys out we will send all these kind of like cheat sheets to you, which kind of go through 5 or 6 different things and breaks it down so you guys don't forget. So it's not like a matter of you guys making notes. You guys will get all the step-by-step pictures, which are massively useful just to pin up in your hobby room and just refer to. Just refer to. I have them literally right next to me, ready to rock and roll. They're laminated so that they can get green stuff stuck to them. I can just peel it off, and they're just ready to go. And actually, like, so it's you will get that after the course as well, and that goes for people who are on the Sydney Sculpting course. Or with the Heresy Camp as well, we will send those to you, but you will have those in the course to use. And yeah, as massively useful teaching aid, I think. Yeah, really, really useful.
Yeah.
Cool.
So sorry to interrupt,
Go,
but
no, no, go for it. Go for it.
I have because obviously it was your idea originally, and I
Yes.
have found them absolutely invaluable
Mm.
when we're doing a course. They are just such a really good refresher because just like every course, you'll sit down and do a demonstration, and I'm trying to fire all this information into your ears,
Yeah.
and then you can go back and just literally look at all the references, and yeah, invaluable.
Yes, these are sort of after years of teaching, these are things that we've picked up and we think that actually have enhanced the teaching kind of like experience. So, yeah, so they will be winging their way to you after we've kind of been and gone from Australia, but we will bring them on the course for you guys to use as well. So we try and structure and scaffold the course, both with the Kratos course and with the sculpting course, to make it as easy for you to follow along. We are conscious of your experience. Right, let's have a look at the Kratos course. So this is one that I've done, I would say, for the past 18 months, if not longer. I have taken it to the US of A. I've just come back from Helsinki in Finland, but I've done it also multiple times in the UK as well. So this is going to be held on Saturday the 2nd and Sunday the 3rd of August 2025. And it's also, this one is at the Combat Company in Sydney. So thanks to those guys for hosting me and Baz. Now we will talk more about kind of like kit lists a little bit later on. And we're going to be kind of using the Combat Company to help you guys to get your stuff and with some bundles and to get you a little bit of extra off in terms of if you need to buy any paints. Like more information will be coming about that. Remember, we've got 11 months until we come. So like I know some of you will want to buy your ticket straight away and then be like, what's on the kit list? So, tell me immediately. But it will take just to get all those finer details, the cheat codes on that website, to get promotions and things like that. That will take a little bit of time. So don't panic about that one. So why do we do the Kratos? So the Kratos is a really interesting tank. It's got lots of unusual shapes, but it's got that kind of like blocky frame that you'd expect from a Space Marine tank. It's a tank that I use because in terms of airbrushing, we can do reverse highlights on it, but then actually there are some things that we would highlight just according to how light would usually fall. So for the turret on the top, so it's quite a useful tank to learn how to airbrush on and make kind of like a dynamic airbrushing, do some dynamic airbrushing on. It's also great because it's got interesting weapons, lots of kinds of metallics. It's got big tank tracks as well that we can kind of like weather up and learn how to use weathering powders. We can do lots of heat blooms because there's lots of like las cannons and flamers and melters and things like that. It is a great canvas to learn on. And what I often find is that people either want to follow a scheme that they've seen or a scheme that I've done before, or they're waiting to do this Kratos course so that they can do an army off the back of it. That tends to be most of the time, that tends to be the case. But I like to see this as a canvas. It's a great canvas to learn all these kind of like weathering techniques on, as well as transfers and things like that. So it's an amazing canvas. It is an intense course. It is full on. There is so much to pack in over the course of a weekend, and so much to learn. But everybody feels like after the course is done, everybody feels super proud of what they've achieved. In fact, I had someone come on a course who is an amazing hobbyist. They actually work for Ammo. Ruben, who works for Ammo, which is like the weathering like company. They do like loads of and ammos, and he came on the course into Helsinki because he lives there. And even as an experienced hobbyist, he was saying it's just useful to see how other people do stuff. Like it's just useful to see how you approach things, how you try and speed up the process, like where you cut corners or where you don't cut corners, and what you invest time in, etc., etc. So even for experienced hobbyists to relatively new hobbyists, this will be useful for you guys. As I said, so we'll have a look at some of the smaller things. We'll have a look at tank tracks, weapon effects, streaking, and how to create kind of like that nice, like those streaks of kind of like weathering. We'll have a look at hairspray chipping, transfers, and battle damage as well. But we'll have a look at many other things on the Kratos course. And in terms of kit, so there is a longer kit list that will be sent to you after you purchase a ticket, of course. But the big things you're going to need an airbrush, you're going to need a compressor, you're going to need a hobby lamp, you're going to need an extension lead, you're going to need some kind of airbrush spray booth. ideally as well. And then you need your Legion transfer sheet. Now, if that's tricky to get hold of, we might be able to get hold of one in the UK on your behalf, mainly because it's probably be a lot cheaper if we get hold of it for you. And then we can always send it across, or we can bring it with us. I, of course, have an awful lot, so I can often help people out with those sorts of things. For this Kratos course, though, so it's a little bit different to Baz's. So with the Kratos course, what I like to do is just sit down with everybody just to understand kind of where they're at, mainly with their airbrushing, but also in terms of their scheme as well, and just to talk through their scheme. The scheme is such a personal thing. Yeah, I like to, when I talk about these kind of like courses, what I like to do is give Emperor's Children as an example. You might say, oh, I'm doing an Emperor's Children tank. Well, that could mean a whole lot of things. It could mean you're doing a really pink, magenta, zany, mad kind of like cacophony tank, or it could be something more in the lilac range, or even with a royal purple. Purple is a very, very broad. When you say purple to somebody, that can mean a whole lot of things. So what I like to do is just sit down with individuals and just go through exactly what they want their tank to look like, what their experience of airbrushing is, and what their experience of hobbying is, and then what colors I think and what they think that they should use as well. So I'll sit down with every attendee from the Heresy Camp, and then just from the Kratos course in Sydney, and we will have kind of like a 20 to 30 minute Zoom call about kind of how you're going to paint it. So the course starts even before we arrive. And that's a good investment in your thinking and an investment in kind of where I want to pitch my teaching for you guys as well. In terms of kind of like your experience, so with Baz it's beginner to expert. It could be anybody. I think if you're coming on this course, you need to be aware of how to use an airbrush and how to troubleshoot an airbrush is all I would say. Like I can teach you how to be precise. I can teach you, spray patterns and things like that. But I think that you guys, if you're coming on this course, you need to be confident how to at least troubleshoot and clean any blockages that might occur from an airbrush, because that's always the thing that can take time. But if you're not confident at this moment in time, just remember we're not coming for 11 months. It might be that actually you go, okay, well, this is my chance to purchase an airbrush. I'm going to learn how to use it, and I'm going to apply what I've learned onto the course and pick up some more skills as well. So we've got plenty of time for you to kind of do some crash courses in airbrush work and things like that before you come, is all I'd say. And here's some student work. So these are ones that students have done on previous Kratos courses. We've got a World Eaters one, Sons of Horus, and the Iron Warriors, and Alpha Legion as well. And Alpha Legion in a matte blue scheme, which I think always looks really, really cool. So this is, you've probably seen them online if you've got this far into this video. You guys have probably seen online reels and photos of student kind of work. They always look, everyone's so proud when we get them on the table at the end of the course. They're always like, whoa, this looks absolutely awesome. So yeah, and I'm sure you've seen the reels before, and everyone kind of just stands there admiring their courses, admiring their Kratos at the end of the course. So yeah, you will have something you will be very, very proud of by the time you finish on the Kratos course. But that leads us to the Heresy Camp. So this is the big one.
Yep.
So this is a 5-day course. Now, what we're going to do is kind of just briefly explain, because what actually we've done with this hobby camp, or this Heresy Camp, is we are doing if you buy a ticket to this, you are buying a ticket to the sculpting course,
Yep.
and you're buying a ticket to the Kratos course. We've bundled it all into one. This one is in Melbourne, and is held at the Gaming Arena, which is a nice, bright, really big venue. This one, but it's over 5 days. So what will happen is, let's just take any old person who might be coming. So what they would do, it's over 5 days. So the first 2 days would be spent with Baz. And then they've got a day off essentially, which is a gaming day. You don't necessarily have to come in. You might be like, oh, so exhausted from sculpting with Baz that I need a day off. But we've set up with the venue that you guys can have some tables, and we'll also put on some seminars as well. I mean, some things that I really want to do a seminar is how to get into commission painting. So nothing to do with actually that, but I want to kind of put on some smaller seminars about either painting the Horus Heresy or just commission painting just in general, if you guys are interested in that. And these will be like half hour to an hour kind of deals, and we'll put on a couple over the course of the day. And then after that Friday, where we've got our gaming and seminar day, you then will do the Kratos course with me. And that will be 2 days of just painting Kratos as we've described. However, let's say we have 20. I mean, really, we want 30 students on that course. We want it to be fully booked. We've got capacity. So let's say we've just got 30 students on the course. 15 people will do it in that order. So 15 people will work with Baz, and then they'll have the day off, and then they'll work with me. But then the other 15 people, it will be flipped. Okay, so they'll start with me. So they do 2 days worth of Kratos course with me. Then they'll have their gaming day, seminar day, and then they'll finish up with Baz. So what that means is that we're making we are trying to make the course as personable and differentiated for you guys as possible, so you guys get as much time with us as possible. All right. So we'll just then flip you. 50% of you will just get flipped over. But this Heresy Camp includes everything, plus even more, in terms of the seminar and the gaming as well. So if Age of Darkness is your jam, this is the one for you. Tickets are going to be 900 Australian dollars, which I think is actually a total bargain. That is an absolute bargain for what you get out of the course. That is really, really, really good value.
Can I just add
Now,
to that as
so
well?
yeah, go, yeah, please, please,
Yeah, yeah.
please.
So
Yeah,
also we did mention, so the Friday, obviously we're opening it up for gaming. That's just so people can relax. But
yeah,
as we stated before, especially on the Melbourne course, because we have that extra day,
yeah,
if there is a specific query,
yeah,
something very, very specific for yourself that you want to go over in a sculpting sense or a painting sense,
yeah,
Rob and I on that day are absolutely available throughout.
yeah,
Because I mean, if we're not watching gaming, we're always talking about miniatures anyway.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah,
that is going to be the day. And forgive me, we do have the Sydney course and we will chat. It's not like we won't chat on the Sydney
yeah.
course, but specifically in the Heresy Camp, that's when we can go over those
Yeah.
specific things like that are for you.
Yeah, exactly right. Like both courses are intensive sculpting for heresy and for the Kratos course. The heresy camp just allows you a little bit of flexibility if you want some one-to-one feedback, particularly on that Friday. Perhaps you're even working on a project and you want to bring it in, and then we can go through it and give you feedback on it, or even help you to paint it, or help to be with a little bit of sculpting. I've been cheeky before and got Baz when I've been on courses with him, just been just repose this thing for me, and then if he's been nice enough to do it. So yeah, absolutely. Now a few things with the heresy camp. So um, it's an intensive course, as we said. It's spread over 5 days, and then basically the kit list for the Heresy Camp will be the same as it is for the Sydney, but it's just that you've got the kit list for Baz's course, and then you've got the kit list for my course as well. Again, don't forget, 11 months is a long time. You can build. You don't have to get everything in one go in terms of the kit list. You can spread that out over time, and if you've got friends as well, you can share that kit list if you need to. But the kit list will come following purchasing of the ticket. So it will probably come. So tickets will go. I'll talk about when tickets go on sale in a moment, but tickets kind of kit lists and things like that will probably won't go out until kind of like late October-ish. So you'll buy the ticket and then you'll be a few weeks before kind of we send out a proper full in detailed kit list. And then the payment plan. So we recognize, $900 is a lot of money. There's no getting around it. We think something could be expensive and still be really good value. That those two are not mutually exclusive. We think this course is really, really good value. But because we recognize that $900 is a lot of money, what we're going to do is we are going to have a payment plan for those guys who want to buy tickets for the Heresy Camp. So basically, when tickets go on sale, you'll buy a deposit ticket, which will be $450. So it's 50% of the overall Heresy Camp ticket. And then in February 2025, you guys will be sent a link, which will you guys will need to pay by the end of February. So we're kind of like halfway between that 11-month period. And then by the end of February, you will need to have paid that the outstanding balance, the other $450. If you are buying course tickets to Sydney, there's no payment plan for you guys. It's just you buy your $450 ticket and that's it. The only payment plans that are available, and actually I say payment plans, everyone's got a payment plan. We are forcing you to spread out the cost over the course of a few months, just to help you guys, but also to help with organization. But as I say, there is no payment plan for the Sydney courses. That's just to be clear on that one. The only payment plans that are available are for the Heresy Camp. In terms of general information, right. So purchasing tickets and how it's going to work. So tickets are going to be purchased via Eventbrite, and they're going to be available from Monday, the 16th of September at 9 a.m. British Summer Time. Now, I had thought what I'll do is I'll put some conversions on for you Aussies. But however, what I realized was that Australia is a very big place and has multiple time zones. So I thought that would be useless. So all the matter is that you know that it's at 9 a.m. British summertime. So night our morning, obviously. Now, you can always, we'll be selling tickets from the Metas Miniatures Eventbrite page because that's already exists and it's ready to go. You can always go and follow that for updates. And just literally, it's just give me a follow via Eventbrite if you have an Eventbrite account already. However, when it gets to the Monday, the 16th of September at 9 a.m. British Summer Time, we will share the links on all our social media platforms. Now, the obvious ones are, of course, going to be Instagram, because those are our biggest places, and you'll be able to get those via our Instagram stories. But also my Facebook page, you'll be able to get it from as well, Threads, and from what used to be formerly known as Twitter. You can get that on X as well. So there will be lots of links to tickets, but also you could at that time do something as simple as type in Eventbrite Metas Miniatures, and then the Eventbrite page will come up. So if you're struggling to find a link, just go on at that time. Just please remember, Eventbrite charges a small fee for ticket purchases. It won't be an exorbitant amount. It's just, it will be a few dollars. So please just remember that one. And then in terms of refunds, so this is a big one. And I want to be super clear. Me and Baz want to be as super clear as we can be about refunds. There is no refunds for this course under any circumstances. It doesn't matter what you've had to cancel 11 months in advance or 11 days in advance. The thing for us is that lots of these things have to be booked and paid for way in advance. So flights, accommodation, those are the biggest, they're our biggest spends for us. And they, as soon as we get money for the tickets, we will then buy the flights, and we will then buy kind of accommodation and rent accommodation. And those are going to take up a large proportion of our funds. So as a result, there are no refunds. So please, please, please do not buy a ticket unless you are 100% certain that you can come. All right. Now, you could always, what we don't mind is you reselling a ticket to somebody. We've got no issue with that at all, but we cannot give you a refund at any point. Okay. And that also, and please make sure you purchase the right ticket. Like when the tickets go up for sale, it will say Sydney Kratos course, Sydney Sculpting for Heresy, and then Melbourne Heresy Camp deposit ticket, right? Those will be like the titles of the ticket. Please, please, please make sure you purchase the correct ticket. It will say the place name on it as well, because we don't want to be in a situation where you've made a mistake. So please bear that one. Please bear that one in mind. And I think with that is kind of all the kind of general information about that one. Baz, do you want to add anything to that before we finish up? I mean, just to say that we're super excited, right? We are mega excited about these courses.
Well, that's it. I mean, so I'm not being. We've talked about this at length. Sorry, Rob. Is the community in Australia is it's one of the main draws, because I speak to lots of Australian incredible artists. Genuinely artists, and the idea of maybe going down and doing some hobby together. I dare say possibly a beer, but just spending some time with these hobbyists and just really, we're hobbyists at heart, mate. And just the idea of doing that for, the time we're there. Yeah, I'm buzzing, honestly, genuinely buzzing. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think just the final sign off on one of these things is that these courses, no matter if it's a 2-day Sculpting for Heresy Kratos course or it's the 5-day Heresy Camp, one thing I would say is that it's rare nowadays that you just immerse yourself in hobby for like a whole weekend or a whole extended period of time where if you do hobby at home, there are always things drawing you, from your phone to the podcast you're listening to the music, to a job that you've got to do because, to take out the bins. The thing about these courses is that they're so immersive that you just will barely look at your phone. Like you will be with like-minded people who love the hobby just in general, being taught by people who love the hobby just in general. And that I think is quite unique. At the end of the day, my phone battery charge is like at 23%. At the end of a course over a weekend, it's like 87% because you're so immersed in the moment and just learning. And I think that's something that's rare nowadays. Like you can subscribe to Patreons all you want, but actually there's nothing like being there in the moment with teachers, getting one-to-one feedback and just immersing yourself in something that's quite special. So please, if you are considering purchasing a ticket, then please do. We would love to see you there. We'd love to get these courses kind of like fully booked. And if you have any questions, then please let us know in the comments below. Or if you just want a private question, just want to ask something, then just send us either an email, or it's probably best just to send us something via Instagram. But just a final reminder, so we're doing 3 courses in total. The first one is Sculpting for Heresy with Baz at the Combat Company in Sydney. That's 26th and 27th of July. We've then got the Kratos course in Sydney at the same venue, Combat Company, excuse me. And that's the 2nd and 3rd of August, so that's the weekend after. And then a few days later, so we will be traveling on the Monday to get to Melbourne. We have then got our 5-day Heresy Camp with the both of us, where you will experience the Sculpting for Heresy and the Kratos course, as well as a day of gaming and seminars in the middle, just to break up those courses. Tickets are £450. Sorry, $450 for Sculpting for Heresy, the Kratos course, and then $900 with the payment plan for Heresy Camp as well. We hope that's been really clear. We hope that's all made sense. It's not just a flyer. Hopefully this conversation has been useful for you guys. So for now, it's a goodbye from me and a goodbye from Baz.
Right.
And we hope to see you in Australia in about 10 to 11 months' time. See you soon, guys.
Right.